Welcome to week 3. We're going to introduce some new movements to the protocol. You're going to get these right away because you've been diligently working on your holds as well as the movements from week 2. This time around, we're going to look at taking that push-up and building more on that. We're going to look at what's called the A-frame. We're going to go right into a push-up. We're going to look at our squat. And we're going to add what I call around the world, a movement around the world. That's why I have my mats here. And then the final thing is we're going to work on going deeper into our swing set. The first thing is this A-frame to push up. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. The setup is exactly the same as our push-up and our plank that we were doing in the first week. And what we're going to do is start off with our shoulders over our hands. Hands are shoulder width apart, elbow pits are facing forward. We have our hips over our knees. And we're going to bring our legs together so that our knees and our ankles are together. From here, we're going to push our butt up into the air. It's going to look like a downward facing dog in yoga, if you practice yoga. But I don't want you to think about this in terms of yoga. All I want you to do is focus on pushing your butt up into the air, getting in the best possible position that you can get into. It's all about you and not what some other person can do. So I'm just doing this as an example of what the movement looks like. From here, I'm pushing my butt up into the air. If you can't get your heels down to the floor, that's perfectly fine. We're just going to start here. Over from here, we're going to go forward and then perform a push-up. Now, some of you, when you do this in the beginning, you're going to find that your shoulders are really far out over your hands. As a matter of fact, too far out over your hands. So you want to make these micro adjustments in the very beginning when you practice this move before you implement it into the actual workout. So this is something that I like to have all of my students do, and that is practice the movements that you're going to be doing in your workout. Find what is good for you so that you have a better awareness of what's going on in your body so that you can do the work. So once again, I'll push up into the air, my butt up into the air with my feet together, and then I will keep my arms straight as I set up for the plank position, bringing my elbows back, pushing straight up into the air, just like the push-up that we practiced last week. Now, when you're doing these for repetitions, you'll go automatically back up to the A-frame, but I always want us to pause in the plank position when performing this. So it's almost as if we're doing 3 movements. A-frame, plank, push-up, plank, A-frame. Okay? I'll show that to you one more time. As I push up, A-frame, plank, push up, plank, A-frame. And that is our first movement. Now, second movement, I love. If you don't have a deep squat, I'm going to show you how you can do this and modify it so that you can still practice it safely. What we're going to do is start in a very deep squat. So, as I go down, I squat. I take one hand down to the ground. This hand goes back behind. My opposite hand comes forward. I shift my weight forward and bring this hand in. The opposite hand goes back. This hand now go back. Switch hands. Pops forward. And then I start back into my squat for standing. Let me show you this from the front. Actually, I want to show you from the back. It'll make a little more sense to you there. I'm going to start in my deep squat, getting tangled up here. I'm going to start in my deep squat. So from my squat position, I place one hand back, the other hand comes back. Now, you notice here that it's as if we're in our swing set position. So from here, we bring the opposite hand up. I shift my weight forward, bringing the hand up and continue the movement. This is the around the world that I like to call it. This is really going to help us to focus on control. It's going to have to be done slowly in the very beginning so that you have a good feel for what has to happen for it. No accidents. I don't want you to fall. But we've been building up the strength, the straight arm strength, by working on our plank and using that plank as well as the tabletop position. We've now built that strength and control in the arm so that we can load the structure in movement while we're doing it. Now, what if you can't get down into a deep squat to do it? No problem. We're going to use a prop. This can be a low table. It can be a bench. It can be whatever is on the ground that is stable and does not move so that you can do this safely. So what you'll do is you'll squat down in front of the object, placing one hand on it. The other hand comes to the opposite side, and you'll just perform this movement and do it in a manner that allows you to perform it safely. That's the key point. Okay, so the last movement that we're going to be doing is just working on going deeper into our swing set. So same thing as we did last week, and that we start with our hips high. Exhale, pushing that butt back as far as we can. So this week you'll find that because we're continuing to practice this movement, the range of motion is going to increase, as well as the strength. Hopefully you're also feeling that in the core. Make sure that you inhale as you bring the hips up, and you exhale as you push that butt back. Okay. Some new movements for you to play with this week during your workout. Remember to practice these before your workout just a little bit. You'll get used to it. By the end of the week, you're going to have these down, no problem.